Welcome back to another episode of the Not So Old Boys, the podcast where we dive deep into conversations that matter. This two-part episode is one that hits close to home for many of us. We're peeling back the layers and shedding light on male body image. In a world that constantly bombards us with unrealistic expectations, today we're bravely exploring the insecurities and body image struggles that we and other men face. Get ready for some raw, honest conversations because it's time to break the silence. This is where we keep it real, we keep it raw, and we keep it relatable. Let's dive in.
Right, fellas, listen up.
I need to do it again now,
Fellas!
So we're here again, back for his second appearance with Lloyd Rees.
My name's Lloyd. I'm second best left back club level.
Oh, all right, sweet. I'm going to shoot that.
I'm left back this week. I was right back last podcast, but I'm left back now. I'm a sort of victim of my own versatility because.
I know how you feel.
Yeah.
And we welcome back again another fan favourite of Stephen Pearce.
Yeah, thanks guys.
Hooray!
Thanks, guys.
More than one
More than
clap.
one clap.
Run around.
Interim captain.
Hoff wasn't here for the one clap.
One day only.
And the actual fan favourite of,
Yeah, no worries.
of Rob Benson.
Yeah, gives you back. My position hasn't changed. I'm still fucking legend.
And get a bit cocky now, I think. Train that in.
Back from the fives, Jack Coughlin.
Yeah.
Yeah, big.
Strong.
Big like that. Love that.
That's huge.
Yeah, Jack, captain of the fives. CDM, legend.
And it's my pleasure to introduce co-manager Michael Hoffman.
Special guest.
One man.
Cheers,
special
guys.
guest.
I actually just want to kind of put on record, I'm really delighted to be here with you all. And in fairness, I've been listening to the last couple of podcasts, and you've all done an amazing job so far. I think it's been made clear that obviously if we can help even just one person, it's going to go a long way, and that's what we're here for. And in fairness, it's even helped me to a degree. So really looking forward to being here, and I'm also the man behind the fellas.
And as always, I'm Chesney Jennings, co-manager of the 3's 11. Insecurities and body image. This is what we're going to talk about. So we're going to just break the ice here a little bit and just go, what's really brought everyone to really discuss. We're going to go around and we're going to discuss what's actually brought us to this topic. I don't mind starting and saying that for me, social media really pushes the fact of body image for a man should be six-pack, looking a bit like Hercules or The Rock. You've got like Mark Wahlberg pushing his stuff. Everyone depicts a man to look in a certain way, and I certainly don't. And it makes me feel uncomfortable when I go around and I see, I'm wearing a top that maybe my stomach is sticking out a little bit, like not out of the t-shirt, but just protruding over my jeans or something like that. And it does make me feel very uncomfortable. I don't know what other people's experiences of this is on how social media makes you feel in regards to body image.
I was going to say, actually, you said about six-pack, and I think the new one at the moment is everyone wants dad bods. But no one...
Thankfully.
No,
My time has come.
but there's a strict criteria to have a dad bod, and it's be physically big, strong, muscular, but just aren't ripped. So it's not a generic dad bod.
Nah,
It's not someone who just works hard, goes home to their kids, doesn't have time for the gym. It's someone who gyms all the time, but just isn't lean. Yeah. So again, it's another unrealistic.
So misleading.
And everyone says and then guys go, oh yeah, this is our chance.
No,
it's not.
I'm back out then. Yeah.
We'll back out.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, mine hasn't really ever come from social media. It's come from my own personal sort of struggles in my head, and never feeling like I'm sort of good enough or happy to take my top off or feel comfortable with my own skin, kind of thing. Even if people have told me that there's nothing wrong with me, in my head I think there is, and there's always improvement in my eyes. So that's my own personal thing.
I'd say I'm the same as Stephen. Mine's not really through social media either. It's all in my head. Like there's certain clothes I want to wear, or a certain way I want to dress, or a certain way I want to look, and I just can't. Or even if I see like a tiny bit of my belly sticking through my t-shirt, I'm like, no, I can't wear that. I'm very selective with the clothes I wear. I wear like the same 5 t-shirts.
Thick t-shirts I wear quite a lot.
Well, this is what I was going to say.
Oversize.
So do you know when we went to Cavos in the summer and you were like joking, all your clothes are quite big and heavy. That's the reason. It wasn't because I wanted to wear big clothes. It's because it helps me with my own insecurity about how I want to look.
I mean, but also that was because some of them are like heavy cotton in 30-degree heat.
It was a bold choice. It was a bold choice, but there was the reason behind it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's interesting. So I hate taking my top off, like you said. But my girlfriend jokes about this because the only time I ever take my top off is at football. Straight after a game, on the first one, I bang top off, walking around.
It's my favourite part of the day.
Yeah, but it's the only time.
I'm the same, right? So like, I will happily have no clothes on at football at all. Like I'm shirt straight off after the game, walk around the change room, get a shower. Because I feel like when you're in a room of 12 blokes, 13 blokes, and everyone's doing the same thing, it's like nobody's looking or really thinking about it or commenting. Mine again, I wouldn't say mine's social media either. Mine is what I think has probably been relayed to me is what girls want. And without saying like a drone for the last 2 episodes, like, oh, I'm a single man, feel sorry for me. But it feels like when you are out there competing against other blokes and you are naturally like 6'4" and built, you've got to try and look good in other ways, right? So I am more conscious about how I do my hair or style my beard and like the clothes that I wear. Yeah. Just so that when you are out there trying to attract someone, you want kind of as many advantages as you can get. And I've yo-yoed in between being in really, really good physical condition and then really, really not being in good physical condition in terms of what you look like. Yeah. Like I've always been fairly stamina healthy, but not like ripped or six-pack like that. And like you, it's influenced my clothing choices. Certainly over the last couple of years where I'm now like loads of things that I wear are oversized or like baggy fit and like I used to love skinny everything and the only thing I wear now is skinny jeans. Like, that's the only thing that's like slim fit on me anymore. Like all my shirts will work like they're just bigger size fitting shirts and like wear a jumper over the top from like September through to April. Yeah. Just because you don't want that like button like sort of looking like he's gonna ping a kid in the face or like because that's always a fear. You put a shirt on, you see it strain, and you're like, no, like any minute it's gonna go ding and clock him in the head or something.
Do you know what I can add to that? Yeah, same for me. Like for me, it's suits. Like I want to look good in a suit, and there's nothing worse when you're in extra large jacket, trousers. You've had to try and get tailored to stop it looking so flary. And it's just a nightmare. You're trying to button it up to try to hide the shirts from where it's going to pop, and it's it's a big issue.
My issue was I remember my whole thing with body image changed, and not for the better. When I was like 27, 28, he was restricting my diet to painfully low, like calories, everything. I was eating steak and broccoli cold for breakfast every single morning. I went down to dangerously low weight, and it changed my It was so unhealthy and unsustainable that I then ballooned the other way. Because when I stopped it, I sort of catapulted the other way. All of a sudden I wanted, because I didn't know what it was like to start to really restrict my food and really sort of deny myself things. When I then sort of stopped, when I basically just ran out of steam on it all, I just catapulted the other way. And ever since then, I've been sort of trying to find that mid ground, and I can't, because that one thing changed my relationship with food forever. Now I look forward to food. Whereas before I could take it or leave it. Now, because I know what it's like to have denied myself something, it's almost like I'm still making up for that so many years later. And that was just my sort of experience with body image. And when I've ranted on a little bit there.
No,
so
but it's interesting you say that it changed your relationship with food and stuff. How do you think that affects you mentally now that you've been through that? And how would you describe to somebody else going through that? How would you help them? Because obviously this took a massive toll on you.
It's because it broke down food and eating to science. I now know more about calories than I wish I did. I know that there's 4 calories in every gram of carbohydrate, 4 calories in every gram of protein, 9 calories in every gram of fat, and all of a sudden it stops being about the enjoyment and you start seeing the numbers attached to it, and that ruined it for me. I never looked at what I was in. I tried to eat healthy. And it was far healthier to be ignorant about it all. Whereas now that I've sort of really, know exactly what it does, how it responds, about glycemic indexes and all that crap, it's made eating a lot more difficult and choosing food choices a lot more difficult. And it's also added a huge amount of guilt when I've eaten something that perhaps, because I know exactly what it's going to do, how that's going to affect that. And I wish I didn't.
I think maybe going into a diet, if you're more aware of how these things can affect you, how you approach food and how you see food and how you see calories, for example. If you had more of a understanding of that going in, you might be able to limit how far you go. You can maybe do it for a bit, sort of then gradually go back to eating more, then do it again for a bit, rather than going so hard, so quick that you went off the cliff and then went the other way. You can sort of ease yourself into it so you don't have that big swing. I think that might be maybe a way that you could approach things differently.
With dieting, I think everyone's advice, not scientific advice, but I think most people who have some common sense will say everything in moderation is fine, and that's what everyone's always trying to achieve. But I find there are some things that I really enjoy eating, and I'm sure everyone does, and some things which are not so enjoyable. And quite often the unhealthier ones are the ones you enjoy eating more. And when I was doing the calorie tracking, when you find out that all your favourite things are like miserably high on the calories, and like you say, you come in the gym like, what I've got to do? Oh, I've got to have like 30 grams of rice and a chicken breast. And you're just like, oh, that's bland. Like, that is bland. And then like, I actually had this is so mad when I think about it now, but I was doing this in all my 20s, and I have one of those apps where you like enter every meal, and like you check all your calories. That I think it was one of those, right? And I came home from, I think it might have been at work or out of the gym or something like that, and I said to mum and dad, I said, oh, but like they knew I was going through this fitness routine, and I was trying to get them on board, but they were like, yeah, but we're not going to pay loads of money for you to have like chicken breasts and stuff. And I was like, fine, all right, well I'll buy the chicken and those kind of things, try and get that healthy meal going. And then one night we came home and I said, oh, like we've done your dinner, and I was like, oh, what is it? And they're like, it's pizza. I had a huge argument, like a massive blow about them, and I was like, why the fuck are you giving me a pizza? You know I'm doing this. Like, I almost had like a full breakdown at them because it was like they weren't respecting what I was trying to do, and like didn't see the goal, and that they thought I was being like really like anal about it and really like over the top about it. And I was like, no, but I'm spending all my time at the gym and all this calorie restricting for you to serve me a pizza, like really insulting. It's not that at all, really. When you think about it, they're just trying to look out for me as their son, like give me a bit of dinner, right? And at the end of the day, a couple of slices of pizza aren't going to kill you. But at the time, it just I had a full meltdown, like a raging argument with them for like 2 or 3 hours at home. Ended up not eating it, just went to bed like in a foul mood, like it was horrible. And like, when you hear that story in isolation,
your poor parents.
Like your dad, right? Like, my mum and dad gave me some slices of pizza, not even a Domino's, like an oven bought pizza from like they just stuck in and like, yeah, bastards.
That's what you were doing now, yeah.
Well, if you're gonna get me
give me the
fat,
good stuff.
Yeah, it's gonna be pizza hut, yeah.
So with the fitness industry as well, one of the most infuriating things about the fitness industry is it's within their interest to keep you confused.
Yeah.
Like, how many magazines do Men's Health release? I don't even know. Like, one a month or something like that? And the fact is that you can build muscle, you can burn fat. That is it. That is literally all you can do. There's no targeted weight loss for your abs. There's no sort of superfood that's going to, you've got fat, protein, and carbohydrates, and you can build muscle. That is it. But the fact is, if they told you that, they would be able to make one issue, and that would probably be only about half as long as they are usually. So it's within their interests for that insecurity to be in people, because they can target what people are, get big arms in 6 weeks.
Your body can't build muscle at like a metabolic rate. Like, you can't just suddenly grow muscle rapidly.
And the same with the supplements. They're not this, drugs and things go through, huge amounts of testing and approving before it can be released. Supplements don't. They're counted as a food or something.
Well, yeah, vitamins,
so
minerals,
there's just absolutely no regulation on them, and they can put whatever the hell they want into it, and they do. But people, and I did it when I was 16. I remember buying a Holland and Barrett protein powder and a Men's Health magazine. I was convinced I was going to be ripped in 4 weeks.
No, I've been there. They put the massive kilo of like protein whey, and then you get the free shaker with it, and you use it like 4 or 5 times, and you get to wash it once, and it stinks like fucking. That's going to be. I'm never using that again. Then you've got like half a bag of mouldy powder in the bottom of the cupboard, and like you invariably buy a flavour that you think sounds nice, and it actually tastes like a bag of shit. And then you
chocolate supreme.
Yeah, and then you have it, it actually tastes like absolute arse, and you don't want that anymore. And then you think, oh, what's the next thing? You're like, oh yeah, what everybody are creatine for like hold your water. What? Why do you want? No, I'd quite like to sweat, please. Like, my body's been doing it. It's designed to sweat it all day. That would be like boiling from the inside kind of thing.
The one that gets me more than anything is you've got to confuse your muscles. Last I checked,
shock your muscles.
Haven't got cognitive abilities. Like, you can't confuse them.
Go into the gym doing legs and suddenly do chest. You must fuck you, muscles.
Lads, we're going on the leg press today. Leg pressing.
And it drove me absolutely mad because I fell for it. When I was 16, I remember going, Chaz, you'll know, I used to get a bus to Brecon, which was a good 45 minutes journey. I went in, I did 150 on the pec deck and went home.
And then you couldn't lift your arms up for a week.
In fairness, I bought a Men's Health magazine, and I was having a protein shake, once a week. It should have helped.
So from the chest upwards, you're a rock.
I wasn't, because I was just doing...
Well, obviously you weren't. You're doing one exercise with half an hour. It wasn't...
Yeah, your form must be wrong.
But in these men's health magazines, they always depict a man to be in a certain image and light. And do you think that men of, say, my ilk and your ilk that are a little larger than the average men that they depict, if they put in there, look, this is a healthy way to be, rather than needing to be in the gym 24/7 with a six-pack and pecs and all that, do you think that men would feel more comfortable with themselves, and rather than these magazines and movies depicting everybody to be chiseled like in Greece?
I don't actually think it should change anything.
No.
Because it's already out there.
Yeah.
Just changing something on the cover to suddenly have a normal body. There's still all that stuff out there that shows that, you've got ripped abs, and just changing it once is not going to change it. It has to be an overall arching change about the way the fitness industry. But there are actually there's lots of people now on Instagram and TikTok who are just generic sort of fit guys that just show their journey into fitness, and that's more enjoyable to see them struggle, and maybe they go, I had 2 weeks off, I had a mental knock, and then I'm back on it again, watching their journey rather than watching the guy who's been ripped for the last 10 years. There's a guy, Joey Swole, and he's like, he's ripped as,
he does the name and shape.
Yeah, and he seems like a great guy, but I could never relate to him because he's an absolute tank. He's ripped always. But he did have a massive mental struggle, and even at that point, he still maintained being ripped. So he has that mental strength that I can't relate to. So seeing someone else who's maybe not there, but their journey is up and down is more what we would like to see, I think, anyway.
I think Joey Swole talks a lot about I think he went through depression, didn't he?
He got, I think, addicted to some kind of opioid or something like that.
But he's open and honest, and I like that because he is relatable. He is... Okay, I'll probably never have a body like him because...
Physically unrelatable,
but he has been through the same struggles as what the average person has been. And but he's changed it for the better to be like, you know what, I'm going to deal with this. And he's open and honest about his own mental health and how he talks to people, and encourages people like me and you to go to the gym and not have that gym etiquette of, I'm bigger than you, so I deserve to be here.
Yeah.
It's more, we're all equal.
It's an open space for everyone. Take that tabooness away from the gym, which is, he does that really well, actually. And he calls people out if they make people feel uncomfortable. Which is because the gym is an intimidating place. I remember when I first, and even if I've not gone for a few months and I have to go back for the first time, it's so uncomfortable.
That first day is always bad.
In my head, I'm like, everyone's looking at me like, he's not been in a while. Let's get this guy.
So you put the 10 kilogram weights on, they're like, new guy.
Yeah, what a noob.
But it was also really nice because for a good nearly 2 years of my life, myself and Lloyd went to the gym together, and I could see my own progression. But it was also really nice that people started paying you compliments along the way.
Sorry, I will tell the story of when you got a compliment, but you finish first.
In fact, there's a whole story.
It's going to be a good compliment.
It's going to be...
There's not really, no. It was with a lovely waitress in Miller and Carter. And she just called him Muscles, and he beamed for about half an hour.
Was he drinking his drink with his bicep just in the air really high?
No.
Did he rip a can of spinach open in front of her?
It was interesting to see, because we were doing the same thing. We were doing the same exercises. We were practically eating the same things. And it was interesting to see that your muscle mass went up and your strength went up far quicker than mine just because of body types, whereas my weight loss was a little bit easier for me. And it was just quite interesting to see, but we worked together quite well. And then you decided to get a girlfriend, move out, and now we're both in this shape.
See, that's why I stopped going to the gym, because I got a girlfriend. Literally the day she was like, yes, I was like, well, she can my time. Yeah, I don't need you anymore.
Then you have to wait 2 months anyway to cancel.
No. Thankfully, they had like a cancelling time kind of membership deal. But yeah, literally the moment she was like, "Yeah, we're boyfriend and girlfriend," I was like, "Oh, good, I don't need the gym membership anymore." See you later. Genuine, honest truth. Yeah.
You're talking about social. For me, we talked about unrealistic body images. For me, it's always Chris Hemsworth. I don't know why he's my go-to guy, because
He's fucking sexy.
he is. But he has started a new thing. I don't even know what it's called, but he's got a personal training company now that he runs.
I've seen one of his videos and it is bullshit.
And exactly. And people, they're so manipulative. Because, 19, 18, even younger boys, men, are going to go and see that and think, I'm going to look like him in a year's time because I'm training exactly like him. You're not. You're absolutely not. Because A, you're not on boatloads of steroids, which anybody that looks like that is. Anybody. You look at Hugh Jackman, who is in his 50s now, and in the shape that nobody can get into that sort of shape naturally in his 50s in the time that he has managed to do it. But they've also got an image to maintain in Hollywood as these sort of clean, nice guys, so they don't want to say that. And I saw on Instagram recently, Hugh Jackman said he was eating 8,000 calories a day. No, you're not. Nobody's eating 8,000 calories a day. That's a ridiculous thing to try.
I think the world's strongest, when Eddie Hill was doing World's Strongest Man, he was on like 10,000 calories a day.
But I think even like Mr. Olympia, those guys do like 4,000 maybe. So that he's claiming he's eating twice as much as that because he doesn't want to come out and say, I'm on steroids. Right? That's how I'm doing this.
Chris Hemsworth's got a whole team around him who give him the food, feed him, control what he does.
Literally feed him.
Well, I'm sure someone probably does. Yeah, he's that famous. He could have that. Whereas the rest of us are just average people who also have a 9 to 5, and sometimes that 9 to 5 runs into a 9 to 8, and then you got no time to go to the gym.
And you got to commute to it.
And you've got time. You don't want to go home and cook a nice healthy meal. You just want to grab a kebab on the way back. And
sometimes it's not even that bad though. Sometimes it's like you come home and cook a bowl of pasta. There's nothing wrong with a bowl of pasta, but it ain't going to make you like Chris Hemsworth.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's a
too many carbs.
meal,
But too many carbs.
Yeah.
But Chris Hemsworth doesn't. When we picture Chris Hemsworth, we picture him in those scenes in Thor, where he's eating ridiculous. I remember the first one. I can still see it in my head.
Or in the most recent one when he's fully naked.
Yeah.
Even from behind, he's got a chiseled arse. Like, it's mental.
But
great cheeks.
Chris Hemsworth doesn't even look like that. That's the thing. Like before, but there's lighting involved. He will have been dehydrated to the point of madness. Like because to make him more vascular and show the muscles up more. He'd been working out just before that sort of shoot happened, so he looked as muscular as possible. 10 minutes after that scene was shot, there's no way he still looked like that, and yet that is the only part you see.
Yeah.
And so people look at that and think, I'm going to achieve that. And the truth is, he hasn't achieved that.
No.
Even with all the resources that he has. But people are aiming for it, which is just so damaging to people when they think that is an attainable thing to do.
It is a controversial statement, but I think it's good for people who want to get into fitness and change their look. I think that's a good thing if that's what that person wants. And I think they should have a goal.
Yeah, having a goal is definitely key. But that goal doesn't have to be... You could say, like, that's the reason I got into fitness is because Chris Hemsworth looked amazing in that film and all these girls went, that's the body type I want. Yeah. You could maybe go, that's sort of the step into it, but it doesn't have to be your final destination. If your goal is, I'm going to lose, 10 pounds or something like that, you could have a set... I think setting easy goals to achieve, and then when you achieve those goals, like you said, when you get a compliment or something, someone says you've actually done something, if you can see it yourself as well, you can see that you're hitting your goals, small goals, then it becomes more realistic to reach the maybe unattainable goal. Even if you can't ever get there, you're getting closer, and it makes your journey.
I mean, I'm in a position now where I look back, maybe 6-7 years ago, and I'm thinking, back then I was like really quite self-conscious still, like a little bit stressed about the way I looked, but it never really kind of affected like me playing sport and stuff. I was still able to do that, which is a little bit of a bonus. But now I'm in a position, you fast forward 7 years, and I look back at pictures and I'm thinking, that's what I want to get back to.
Yeah.
So why back then was I so stressed?
Yeah.
Why was I so stressed about how I looked and what I was doing? I was still playing sport. Back then I was probably in quite an okay position, and now I'm like, gosh, like that's what I want to get back to.
Yeah. Is it because people don't? And this is probably guys are worse at this. We don't compliment each other.
I was just about to say that.
We like at that point, like in my point from my experience, if someone had said like, "Oh, you're in decent shape actually, you look good," or whatever, but but you never got that. And it would probably actually be, I'd get comments from people saying like, oh, like, you know, you got man boobs, or like you got a little bit of a gut, or anything, you know. And even if it's not true, it makes you sort of question yourself. And then some people go on and they try and go, actually, I'm going to do something about this. But others like me, I just sort of got a bit down about it, and I gradually got worse until the point where recently I had something happen that I went, well, I've actually got to change it now. I need to try and actually I need to lose some weight. I need to get in a better shape.
So I had that, but I had it the other way around. So when I was young and in school, I used to be really slim, like really skinny. And a couple of months ago, I was like, I missed when I was young and I was really skinny. And people used to say I was too skinny back then, but I was like, no, it's fine. And I look back at pictures now, and I was more unhealthy then than I am now.
Yeah.
And I didn't start getting compliments about my weight until I started putting on weight. And now how I deem myself as overweight is the most compliments I'm getting. Because I look healthy compared to how I was when I was
I actually find
really
that
under.
Interesting, because at school, I thought the people who were slimmer and skinnier, they almost idolised. They were like, this guy's like, there's nothing of him. And like, that's what people wanted. And like, they were always the fit, sort of athletic ones. And well, in my year anyway, people idolise that. And if you weren't that, and even if that's unachievable, the people who can't put on weight, and you were sort of like, well, I want to be that, and then you were the one who was getting maybe the shit taken out of you because you weren't overweight, you just weren't really skinny.
Yeah.
Do you think that as men we're better at it now in terms of lifting each other up? I certainly think within our friendship group, within our football team, we definitely are. But do you think generally as a society, men have got a little bit better, thinking more consciously about other men's mental health, and that therefore, as a population, we are slowly moving in the right direction, that we are more complementary because people are more aware? Do you think that change is happening?
I think we definitely are in terms of mental health as a whole. I think body image is still quite an interesting one. I think we're better at it now because we're older and we've been through it.
Yeah.
When I overhear like 16 to 18-year-old, 19-year-old speak, they speak how we did back then. And if someone puts on a bit of weight, they're taking a mick.
And the older
skinny.
generation.
Yeah,
I mean,
we're in like a nice
sort
in
of a
between.
golden age of that sort of, we're old enough to appreciate what's happening.
Yeah.
I think it helps now having friends who can make you realise that you know it's not all that bad. But then, sort of in a football point, if I'm coming up from the back for a corner, they go, "Oh, let's mark the big boy," you know.
And so I think the exact same thing.
Yeah, and it's not like that for them. That's probably it's just a little bit of banter to sort of like maybe get in your head, and they're not going to mean it. But like, if you've got mates around you, so, you're not the big boy. You know, you're the bigger boy. You know,
they also
the
don't know your
intimidating
name.
one. Yeah,
they also don't know your name, and you need to get called old.
They could ask my name.
Yeah.
And so, because I was thinking about it from a football thing and a big boy, because I used to turn big boy all the time, and people call me big boy as a joke. But sometimes you do think, oh, like, maybe I'm a bit of a big boy. And then in football, the other thing, and it goes back to your question about goals.
Yeah.
So I've only recently started going to the gym. But my thing's more about fitness and stamina.
Yeah.
So my thing is I really want to be able to do a 5k, and then once I can do a 5k, like get faster.
So you're
faster.
like that data around stamina rather than muscle building.
And it does go back to football. And although it's all in jest, obviously I'm quite unfit. I can't run around a lot. They go, oh, Jack's tired. Jack can't move a lot. And like, yeah, factually, you're completely correct. But it does. but it does start getting me down. I'm there like, but fuck now. Like,
don't stop saying it.
Yeah.
Say it once, but not like
so
Just give me a pep up, like. But funny that you say in that sense, like friendship circle, or football team. But I was actually in the gym and I was doing the bench on my own, and I was doing 60 kilos. I was struggling, and some guy came up and he was like, "Oh, you look alright doing that." I was like, "Oh, thank you," but I was struggling. And then we had a 10-minute conversation, and he looked in very good shape. And he literally turned to me and said, "Joe, yeah, nobody's really ever paid me a compliment in the gym." And I thought that was really sad that you could tell he'd worked out a real lot, and he'd taken the time and effort. And he said we'd had a good 10-minute discussion, and he was talking about how it had taken him 10 years, and he was bullied a little bit about how he looked, and he just now goes to the gym because he worked late for DPD, and his time between like 5 and 6 was his morning. So he'd just go to the gym, and it was really nice to hear someone else turn around and say they hadn't had a compliment. So that didn't make me feel so bad that I'd been in the gym for a while and hadn't had a compliment.
I think we latch on to compliments we hear as well. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but like, you get one compliment and it sticks with you. Yeah. I mean, I've had one that I had when I was like 19, and this guy just said like, "Oh, you're a really attractive man," And it's one of the only times anyone's ever said that to me. And it's just a guy in passing, and I've lived off that. I've gone,
if you're
fuck
listening,
right, I am. That one geezer, Zanti, loved me.
It's in your Tinder bio. Once you're attracted by a geezer on the street.
So, do we recognise then that men face different societal pressures than women, such as the pressure to appear strong and stoic?
I don't think the pressures are different. I just think the image goal is different. So I think if you ask the girl, they would say they're under pressure to look slim or.
I'd say this is actually more pressure.
Yeah,
I was going to say that.
Outward appearance for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think young, like teenage girls are probably more affected than teenage boys are. I think it changes slightly as you move into your 20s. I think girls in their 20s care a bit less, but guys when they go to 20s care a bit more. Whereas when they're teenagers, I think teenage girls are more vulnerable to the social media pressures than I think teenage boys are generally.
But women, I think the point is that they're so much better at talking about it and a lot quicker at talking about it. Yeah. You know, like if a girl feels uncomfortable, she'll say like, "Oh, I don't like the way I look before they go on a night out." Whereas guys just go, for me, it's like, I'll chuck something on. If I don't like it, I've already put it on. I'm not going to take it off. I'm done. You know, but they'll talk about it more. So, you know, they don't have to, and they're quicker to go to counselling and therapy. Like, you know, for them, they maybe, if they have it for a bit, they get encouraged to go and do it. We don't. Like, how many people do you know who've ever been to counselling therapy, of us who are guys? And if someone said, "Oh, I'm going to therapy because I don't like the way I look," I think that someone would take the piss out of me for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get comments and go like, "Really? Like, come on, get over it.
Would it be me?
Man up." It would be Rob, and then he'd come back after with a little cuddle and a kiss. And like, I'm joking, mate. The damage is already done, Rob.
But I can see it happening where you would go to therapy, you'd finally take that step, you'd walk in, and it's that guy from Zanti.
Yeah.
I'm
cured.
you. I'm so much. It's like, oh, you're a beautiful man.
Not so beautiful anymore.
You'd say that it's like on, going back to social media. How many times have you seen a picture of a girl, good on them, they put the photo of themselves looking great for a night out, they're happy with the photo, and they post it. If a guy does that, you know, if a guy does a photo like that, first of all, and then you've got a collection of comments, like 9 out of 10 are their friends saying, "Oh, you beaut, so beautiful, beautiful
Slay.
lady." 1 out of 10, some creepy dude who's like, "So beautiful." Same thing said, but
please marry me.
The tone is entirely different.
Yeah.
Look at your accent, that's really strange.
But like, you guys don't. I'd love it if like one of you guys put a picture on photo mode, so like, "You handsome bastard." Oh yes, I would all day.
Can we make that a promise in the pod? Like, every time one of us has a picture, we all just pile into it like, "Fuck, you're a sexy bastard."
It would read so sarcastic. There'd be a dot at the end. "Oh, you're sexy. ...
Winky emoji.
Yeah. Eggplant.
This one's for the ladies out there. If you're feeling lonely and looking for someone to love, why not give Rob Benson a try? With that mischievous grin and that bushy beard, you are guaranteed to have a laugh. And let's not forget, he's a teacher, which means he cares for the future of our generation. Oh, and did I forget to mention that I've heard from a number of sources that he is a sensational lover. So, if you're in the market for a caring, kind, funny, lovable rogue, then reach out to the Not So Old Boys podcast, and we can point you in the right direction.
I want a mannequin that looks like me.
Yeah, it's true. But then if you look at every female mannequin, there's slim, perfect body. Exactly the same.
Yeah, I appreciate
Exactly.
that. But when I put those clothes on that mannequin, I do not look like that mannequin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said
I
when you're
agree.
short mannequin. Like, why is there never a 5'7"
There's
mannequin?
baby ones. There are baby ones.
Baby
Like,
ones.
I'm not saying baby.
Wow.
Unless it's really fashionable, in which case I would squeeze into it.
Going back to what you're saying about, you were saying about your grandparents' generation, I think, and I agree with this, but back even, our grandparents, our parents, it was all about the man went to work, regardless of that was behind a desk, and the woman stayed at home, did the cleaning and the cooking, and rightly so, we've moved along from that. But I think that's changed our eating habits as well, because, you know, then it would be a home-cooked meal every night, wouldn't it? And that was the accepted thing. Whereas now, how easy is it to get a takeaway? Like,
well, and both couples have to work.
And
now.
both couples are working.
Yeah.
So, and then what you end up doing, I ring Tash, I say, fancy Chinese tonight? Yeah, brilliant. And then that's our dinner for the night.
And a question for the couples, because I think there is that thing of like couples wait. Do you do that more because you're in a couple? Because it's easier for someone else to affirm that, like,
absolutely,
very short decision.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
like,
100%.
If you didn't have Tash to say, should we get a Chinese, would you still then bother going for the process of getting the Chinese?
Absolutely, no. And when Tash wants to do something, she'll say to me, please don't buy this, please don't buy that. But equally, I know that she enjoys that, you know, like...
So you get it as a treat anyway.
So I get it as a treat. And
Weird, I do that for Martin. He tells me he doesn't like sweets. I bring him home some Sour Patch Kids, and they're gone in 30 seconds.
So you both actually have very high stress jobs.
Which,
And I can imagine that after those, you just need to have time out, chill out, sit down. Whereas we cook quite a lot together because we use those as our dates. So we'll come home and we'll have planned our weekly meals, and we sit and we cook. And we don't generally get a takeaway, actually. And if we do, it's a big treat. And normally, we feel really guilty afterwards because it costs us money. Or more money there. Yeah, it's like, it wasn't worth it.
But again, that kicks back to us putting on weight because we're eating shit because it's all processed. Because that's cheaper than actually buying like healthy food in the shop these days. Fresh fruit, fresh vegetables.
I don't know about cheaper necessarily in a sense, but when you maybe factor in your time you have to spend doing the shopping and the petrol and then the going and cooking, I think it's not like you can buy healthy food and cook a nice healthy dinner and it is cheaper. Like, I'm not going to try and campaign for unhealthy food, but I think when you then say, but it's going to take me half an hour to go to the shop, it's going to take me 40 minutes to cook it and 20 minutes to clean it, is an hour and a half my time worth that tenner? Yeah, I just have to take away.
I couldn't agree. I mean, for me, my biggest problem, particularly over COVID, was the convenience of it all.
Yeah,
definitely.
And like going back to working from home and like Deliveroo, Just Eat, Uber Eats, they were being hit up on a daily basis. And it's so bad how easy, how easy it was. And that was a big problem. That's a really, really big problem.
Gives you that initial satisfaction, though, doesn't it? And especially during COVID when it was tough. And you needed, especially if you were on your own, you needed that quick pick-me-up. And that's what they were there for, really, I guess.
Just easy, in fact, there was a gap. There was obviously a clear gap in the market for that, and they've absolutely capitalised.
Yeah. But that's the reason they skyrocketed during COVID. It was largely emotional more than and because of how people were struggling. Like,
and it's just the ability to go like, I need some food, tap tap,
bang,
like
done.
You don't even need to put your card details anymore because they're
saved,
and like you don't even need to put your address in. Like it's not even like ordering a pizza anymore. Like in the early noughties, where you like have to give them your address and then like say drive down this street, and like it was a whole like 20-minute interaction to order a pizza. Now I don't talk to anyone. You just go, roll out of bed. Yeah, I'll have that. Cheers. And then 20 minutes later, yeah, hello, yeah, I'll be come. Cheers, and my food's just there.
Yeah.
Turning point for me was when I ordered something on, I can't remember, it was Just Eat or something. And I got a call. I placed the order, and I got a call from the restaurant about 5 minutes later and said, "Hi, yeah, we just wanted to check. You usually order the chow mein without onions. Do you want that again?" I was like, "Oh my god!" Cancel the order.
But yes, no onions.
The other one was
good.
The guy brought the Chinese out, and I grabbed it all off him. And I went, "All right, everyone, food's here." No one else was in the house. I just didn't want him to know. This was all for me.
No, that's so sad.
It was during COVID. I was like, "Food's ready, everyone."
How many things had you ordered? Like a bag full?
There was breakfast the next morning as well, which is another thing. It's like, I just think,
that's thrifty.
It's nice for breakfast as well. But go back to what you were saying about it's cheaper to make food. I did the other day where I wanted to make lasagna. So I bought the mince, I bought the sauce, I bought the, flipping jars of sauce. It wasn't anything fancy. I bought the pasta sheets, I bought the cheese. By the time I'd added all of that up, it would have been cheaper just to buy.
It's definitely cheap to buy the shop bought lasagna.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been cheaper to go to like.
No.
Absolutely not. You can make more though, and also I think the fact that you know what you're putting in.
Yeah.
And we said about earlier the fitness apps you use. I actually use MyFitnessPal, and I find it really useful to just track what I've put in, and then you can divvy that up into 6 portions, and you know what you're eating.
It's just about not becoming obsessive, isn't it? That's the
there is a fine line between the two. Yeah.
I remember I got to that point. I was becoming obsessive.
Yeah,
where I was like, it was when someone offered me an orange segment, and I was like, "Oh no, thanks." It's not my diet.
Yeah.
See, really interesting, right? I listened to you both, and I think, like, I wish I had that mindset, because for my fitness pal, I've got that as well. And my biggest problem has been always, like, you start it, you set yourself a goal, and 2 weeks later, maybe not even as long as that, that's out the window. I'm back on Uber Eats, I'm back on Deliveroo, and that's the problem. Like, I really want to I'm really trying hard to work on that mentality that I used to have a number of years back, where I could get away with, a few things, but I want to have that mentality where, like, I'm doing something, I've got a routine, and I can stick to it, that. So it's really interesting, like, hearing from, like, your side.
What makes you revert back to going to the apps to get back after 2 or 3 weeks?
It's just, I think, convenience and comfort, like, more than anything. Like, for just to have an open and honest conversation, I think it's, I still live at home. Like, there's times where I'm, like, stressed from work. I come in late, and it's like they might have already eaten, and it's, I don't want to cook for myself. It's just the convenience of I can pick up on the way home, or I can just order something. Or actually, I've got to the point where, like, I've been really picky. Like, before, when I wasn't earning money, like I was, like I am now, I can now afford to be. Mum might give me a call, and I'll say, what's for dinner, what's this, and I might not fancy that. So then I'll just pick up something else, just for the sake of not wanting that meal.
Do you think you'd benefit from having, like, someone around you who's maybe either trying the same target as you, or as a support network, so that you can say, I'm getting to that point where I might want to kebab, and they're like, no, like, not in such a brutal way, but in, like, let's me and you guys again, we'll go and have X instead together, so you still get that sort of, like, a sort of a goal buddy.
I obviously, I think everybody's different, aren't they? For me, that's actually not worked. I've had my best mates, they'll be on at me, Hoff, let's go gym, let's do this, let's do that, let's eat better, or people will, like, generally come up to me and like, be a little bit concerned, like, let's, how are things at home, or what's going on, or, Hoff, like, let's try and do something about it. A lot of the time, it's got to be yourself at the end of the day. Like, it is yourself. And, I'm now at a point where I'm actually doing quite well, but I got to a point not so long ago, probably about 6 weeks ago, where I was like, right, this is quite bad. Like, I'm actually now at a point where, my health is genuinely at risk. I was on the verge of potentially being diabetic and stuff like that. And that's the wake up call. I'm on a program now, so I've got a new program where I'm doing, like, meal replacements from time to time, and all these, like, low calorie stuff, and swapping, like, my fizzy drinks to, like, zero sugar, and cutting down the amount I drink. Like, that's been a big issue for a number from such a young age all the way through, is the amount I drink, which then also leads into conclusion of the amount I eat. You go on a bender.
And then you
order some shit.
The next day you're hungover, you want more.
Constantly. And like, down the calf.
You are. And it's also, I think you raised a good point with the drinking. That, for me, has and always will be the issue of me, like, being thin. Because I just do like to have a drink. And I don't want to get to a position where I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to have 2 Guinness after football, because I'm, like, I don't want to say no to that. Like, I like that part of my weekend. And so that's always been, I'm never going to be abs.
But then if that is your goal, and you're working really hard to it, I think you can do that for a month, and you can say no to the beers for a month, get to a point where you're like, that's the guy I wanted to hit, and then you go, I'll introduce a few more beers for a few weeks, have a bit of time off, then go back in it. And me and Hoff had these discussions quite a fair few times, actually, and the little things really help. Like, if you really want to have a drink and you're desperate to go out with your mates, have a vodka and soda or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I try
and
to do.
It might be hard, but if you do that for a few weeks, you will see progress, and then seeing progress spurs you on.
Yeah, it's a fuel.
And then I think that the little things really do help, and especially, like you were saying, like, it has to be yourself. You have to mentally be there for you,
because you've been in that position before, and knowing what you know now, using hindsight, how do you think you can prevent yourself from falling off the wagon, should I say?
I mean, it's like the $1 million question, isn't it? You kind of have to go through it and work it out yourself. I think it's the honest answer, because I don't know. Can I categorically sit here and say to you, like, I'm in a good position at the moment. I'm on a weight loss program, doing quite well. I have been losing weight. Does that mean I'm going to never order Uber Eats again, or in a couple of weeks' time? Not necessarily. I'd like to think that because I'm seeing now. Before I wasn't, when I was doing a lot of these weight loss programs, going to the gym for a couple of weeks, I was never really seeing. And even now, I still don't see physically a big change.
That's why the scales are so important.
Exactly,
For me, anyway, yeah.
Agreed.
Because I think when you do the other things, you might find you start sleeping a bit better, or your mood is improved, and those things.
So those are the things I'm going to come on to. It's the change in myself being, able to walk again. Whereas before, some of the times, I was walking short distances and I was having pains in my legs or feeling tired or breathless or whatever. So having that back, being able to go and see these changes, sleeping better, having more energy, I felt I've probably felt the best at the moment, and I have done, just from 6 weeks of this, these changes that I've been making. Probably the best I've felt in probably the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, it's really good to see.
So, and this is, in fairness, this is why I really wanted to be on this podcast, was to talk about it, be a bit more open and honest, and have a conversation, and so people can. It's not an easy conversation to have. No, being a bigger guy, there's a lot of pressures on that. Everyone wants to, look good and be at the top of their game. But for me, I've got some goals in mind that I want to get back out on the field with you lot. That's a big thing. I rewind 6-7 years ago. I was playing. Old Wilsonians was the club that I was brought into at the age of 16, and I was playing for them. I haven't played now it's coming up to 4 or 5 seasons. Yeah. And that's sad. Yeah. I watch you all, and that's why I wanted to stay involved, and I took the position of taking a more sort of managerial role and position to keep myself involved in the club. So now I'm seeing these changes. I'm really really going for it, and it's also important for me to be open and honest to say that I am rewarding myself as well. Every week or couple of weeks,
I think that's so important.
I think it's so important. Have a chocolate bar or a pizza or whatever, every couple of weeks. You need those cheat days, otherwise you just you get into the noise position. Like I said earlier, where you eat the broccoli and steak for breakfast, and that's fucking depressing.
Horrible. Well, I remember the day that changed for me, because I was losing weight. I got down to 9 stone 2. Well, I'm 5 foot 8. Shit's that big. Exactly. And I just found a picture of it, actually, which I'm sure you can see it. And I remember I was like, right, I really pushed myself that week to lose 2 pounds. I ran back from work, and I worked 9 miles away. And I ran back from work, and I was like, right, because I wanted to write to this guy and say, I have lost 2 pounds this week. How much more can I lose? Because what I was desperate for him to do was start the bulking. That was the whole point. I wanted to build the muscle. So he was pulling me down. I got down to 2 pounds, and I messaged him, and I said, I'm down that. And then I waited for that reply, waiting for him to say, okay, it's time to build the muscle. And he messaged me again, and he said, right, let's go down another 200 calories a day. And I just burst out into tears. Just absolutely broken. Remember, in the old flat. And that was that. And then I ordered, I think I ate 5 donuts, a whole pack of Tang Fastings and Domino's pizza. Yeah. But that was it. That was the end, because it was not sustainable. Yeah. And going back to you talking
PT management.
It sounds like a very lazy. You're paying them lots of money, and their basic advice is eat less.
I should have found the email, because one of the things that really got to me is because I had the idea of the perfect body. I was paying £100 a month for this guy to send pictures to him of me half naked every 3 weeks. I was depressed. I was clinically,
you can see it in your whole
emotionally broken.
body.
And it was completely unsustainable.
No, that is, and I'm glad you're not in that position anymore.
And it was completely unsustainable. But I think you're talking about rewards and data-driven and things like that. I think one of the biggest things, I was going back to the confusion where they say, you need to eat this food, you need to eat this food. Fat loss is thermodynamics. It follows the laws of physics. You put a certain amount of energy in, and you burn a certain amount of energy. If you burn more energy than you put in that day, you're going to lose weight that day, because your body is a calorie deficit. It's that bloody simple. And yet you'll see all these things saying, you need to, keto, you need to eat more fats. It's all bollocks. Yeah. It's just energy in versus energy out. And someone did a research study, I think in Texas, where this guy, he ate 1,600 calories a day, and it was Doritos, it was in America, so Twinkies, what else they have in America, all that. Yeah. And he lost something like 27 pounds. eating absolute crap just to prove that point. So what used to help me was going to bed knowing I probably burnt about 2,200 calories and I'd eaten 1,600. And that was enough. I didn't need to look at the scales because I trusted the process and I knew it followed the laws of physics. That's roughly what I've burnt. That's roughly what I've put in. So I'm just feeling better about myself in that sense. So it didn't matter what it said in the scales. It didn't matter what I thought I saw in the mirror, because you have to find a process that works, trust it, and just use that to keep yourself motivated to keep going. And I wish I'd done that. I mean, you can see me there. I was 9 stone 2.
Yeah,
and it was and that's when he said we need to cut the calories again. Yeah, and I just
it's not good. I also just want to point out, when you mentioned the word physics, Rob Benson got really, really horny.
The table actually
did lift a little bit, yeah.
You mentioned the law of thermodynamics and my eyebrows. they were up high. I was ready to do
I'll be honest, as soon as I said it, I was like, man, I hope that is thermodynamics. Because Rob's gonna...
No, it is.
Okay,
energy flow. First law of thermodynamics, you call that.
So, yeah, as you can probably tell, one of my big issues is how confusing these frickin' gurus have made it. Everyone and their brother is a bloody personal trainer. Everyone's got an opinion on it. Everyone says you need to do this, you need to do that, when you don't. It's actually very, you could fit the entire, the real advice on one page,
It's really funny on TikTok at the moment. There's this personal trainer wars thing going on, where one person says one thing and someone else ats their TikTok video and says, actually, you're wrong, I'm right. And then someone else does them. And there's this whole chain of, and then there's one person goes, actually, I'm going to tell you what's the real thing. And then someone gives them, and everyone's wrong, no one's right. Yeah. Because like you say, it's up to how it affects people. If someone wants to do a keto diet and it works for them, perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Not a problem. There's no
Tyson
right
Fury
answer. Say again?
I think Tyson Fury did the keto diet when he ballooned to his massive weight. I think he did it for 6 months at a time. Yeah. And then he dropped all that weight. Do you remember when he was his biggest? And then he dropped all his fight when he came back to fight.
But
it worked for him.
But is that because it encompasses... So I'm not going to pretend I know the names of the diets and what they mean, but let's say the diet is you can eat the proteins and the fats, but you can't eat the carbs. But if you're someone that really likes meat and cheese, then of course you're going to want to do that diet, because it means you can eat the things that you like to eat. If you're not that fan of pasta, then it's a good diet for you.
It's a more expensive diet, because eating meat and cheese all the time is costly. A big bowl of pasta will cost you 50p. That's where my diet goes.
When you're talking about personal preferences, I don't even think it necessarily comes down to any science. It's more just I'd rather do a diet. Some people do the slim one, don't they? Where they do 500 calories a day for 2 days of the week.
Yeah, the 5-2.
Yeah. My dad did that for a little while. So he was getting up in the morning having a bowl of porridge, and not even the rest of the day until leaving having some fruit. I'm just like, that is fucking.
There's quite a lot of research in fasting though, and after a certain amount of time, your body starts to eat itself, but that isn't really that healthy.
Yeah.
And it's also, I don't know if I fasted for 36 hours for it at my max, and it is agony at times. You get cramps, you have no energy.
That's why
walking to the train station is just awful. And then as soon as you're like, I can't do this anymore, you just binge.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I fucked it.
That's what makes people that follow Ramadan so impressive, I think.
When
you see
absolutely.
them fast for how many hours it is in the day, and then they can break their fast and have a bit of water and some cereal bars at 9 p.m. I just think that's
Mate, it is not
mental strength and everything is so impressive.
Have you seen what they actually? It's not it's not like a cereal bar and water. They go.
Yeah.
No. When they're not Mo Salah on a Friday night at Anfield, but that's still the point, though, right? It's can you imagine going a whole day and not eating until 9 o'clock?
I just like that Mo Salah is your go-to Muslim. That's what I like.
So, as we do every week, a quick roundup of what's happened with the Old Wilsonians. So we have the Old Wilsonians 5s and the 3s. And this week we have the 6s here.
3 teams to cover.
So
treat.
We need to be quick. So let's go with the 6s. Lloyd, do you want to give us a quick recap of the 6s?
It was... I was on the bench for the first half and it was brilliant to watch. They played... It's the most upset I've ever been, even though it's the best we've ever played, because that we deserved that win. Missed a penalty in the last minute of the game to make it 3-3, but it was great. It was genuinely passing the ball around a lot more, keeping possession a lot more. Defenders would be able to move up the pitch a lot more because we had so much control of the ball. And it just makes that 3-2 a little bit gutting, but
So who were you playing?
We were playing a team of other footballers.
I think it was
Really?
Bolognians.
They were known as the Bolognians.
Were there 11 of them?
There was 11 of them. They were the Bolognian Sevens. They're from a really they're just the northwest corner of Bologna in Italy.
Really famous.
Really six of them.
It was a hell of a commute to their defence. And then they came all the way from the home of spaghetti bolognese, pie and beans.
I won a pie and beans this week.
I don't know.
Shit. Let me tell you now,
They're
the
never
beans I had, I think, were fresh out of a volcano. I put them on my plate, and the plate was disintegrated. As you had to say, didn't you? I put a sausage roll and the beans on my plate immediately folded in half, like a canal of hot beans, as I tried to take them outside really good, which were just stalled in my fucking hand, and I was trying not to spin them anywhere, and like we sat down, and the fucking plate just vanished into nothing. I was just eating a sausage roll and beans off the table. And it was like, I burnt my hand, it was a mess. You spilled beans everywhere, didn't you? Yeah, it was chaos. It was chaos. It was chaos.
Has anyone tried the food you pay for, like the burgers and stuff?
I pay my tenner. I don't want to pay another tenner for food.
Their coffee's really good.
Yeah, the coffee is good.
Nice.
I've had the coffee.
Coffee's really good.
I might have to get one pre-game next week,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
I go for Guinness post games.
Why are you drinking Guinness when you could be drinking an Old Wilsonians Pilsner for 7 pints for £30?
Old Wilsonians Pilsner, the beer that's so refreshing it will make you want to water your plants.
That's a great question.
Bargain.
Because I really love Guinness.
But you
It's
can't.
not as tasty as a £30.
Actually, we had a new recruit to the Old Wilsonians Pilsner this week, and she absolutely loved it.
Oh,
She loved it.
Sorry,
And my brother now wants to come over and purely not to watch the game, fuck the team. He wants to drink a beer.
My
Guys, HSBC away on the main pitches. Lovely
Great
pitch,
grounds.
HSBC. Great ground.
did you get the dugout?
We did. We got the dugout early.
Yeah, nice.
I won a toss a kick-off.
Oh.
We're in the head early doors.
Yeah.
Two big wins straight away.
2 alpha moves.
Two alpha moves immediately. I
Were
just did that like
Were
that.
they on time this year?
Well, kind of half of them were. The other rocked up 5 minutes before kick-off.
They've changed, you know. They used to be such a good outfit.
They have. Well, apparently I didn't realise this. Although looking back, it's quite naive. You can only play for the club if you work like in banking. Something that's like there. You know, like, so you're meant to play for. You're meant to go to Wilson School. That's like there.
I thought you were about to say you could only play that if you bank with HSBC.
Yeah, we won 2-0. Another clean sheet for AJ Union. What keeper? It could have been like 6-7-0, but the keeper made some blinding saves, missed a few opportunities. Nice and easy, kept the ball. It's a great pitch, HSBC. It just makes you want to play nice football.
The Fives go marching on.
If I was going marching on, that's 4 wins, 1 loss in the league.
Very good.
Nice.
Well, unfortunately, the 3 stuttered
Oh.
this week. Another cup game, lots of cup games running in.
Lots of cup games.
Played Broomfield firsts. And funnily enough, they actually turned up incredibly late. We were about to kick off and they were only starting with 10.
Really?
They quickly got another player on for 11, and the game kicked off. And you wouldn't have been able to tell they did not have a warm-up.
Yeah.
Good outfit, good team, strong players throughout. Subs turned up at half-time for them and still made an impact. We unfortunately lost 2-1. We went 1-0 down to a quick sort of bit of play from them, really. Good finish. Their only chance the first half. Yeah. They then went 2-0 up and it was a worldie. Top bins. And throughout the entire game before that and after that, we dominated the ball. We had chances, just couldn't put it back in net. Got a penalty, sort of close to the end, 2-1. And unfortunately, the game sort of fizzled out. Bit of head loss from our end. 2-1, different day, could have won that game, but good team, put up a good effort. And they're gonna go quite far in this cup, I think. Yeah, good. And they travel in 2 hours to get there as well.
Best of us, and they're actually nice bunch of boys.
Yeah, hats off to
good
them.
Broomfield.
So we're going to wrap it up with a big shout out for International Men's Day on the 19th of November, which is a Sunday. If you've got any qualms and you want to reach out to any of us, or just chat, or come on to the pod and discuss your own opinions, or have any topics that you want to discuss, again, reach out at Old Wilsonians, or you can reach out to Not So Old Boys on Instagram.
Every week we have a way of saying cheers at the end. Right, this week it's also been Diwali Festival this Saturday, so in honour of that, cheers to Diwali, everyone.
Cheers to Diwali.
Cheers to Diwali.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Not So Old Boys podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe and leave us a review. And also, don't forget to follow us on social media for updates and content. You can find us on Instagram at Not So Old Boys. And finally, if you have any questions or suggestions for future episodes, please send us a message. We love hearing from you.